I just wrote this like 2 hours ago. Let me see if I remember. It's called Doing Something, or it's called Doing Nothing, one or the other. She was standing on 14th Street, doing absolutely nothing. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke. And all the buses passed her by, forgot her phone, she's doing nothing. She saw him cross the street, and his face was doing nothing, and he looked just the same as she remembered. Leather jacket, hat and shades, tattoo around his neck. Same eyes, same face, and his face was doing nothing. And she stood there on 14th Street doing absolutely nothing. He came right up to her. They stared into each other's eyes, and their eyes were doing nothing, and their faces doing nothing, arms and legs were doing nothing. "Do you think of me sometimes?" he said. "I think of everyone sometimes," she said. And her brain was doing something, and he said, "Yeah, well, that's how we are. Our brain's always doing something." And they stood there on 14th Street, and they stared at each other, and their hands and faces doing nothing. Her heart rate doing something, her breathing doing something. "Let's get coffee," he suggested. His face still was doing nothing. She couldn't answer yet. Told her heart, stop doing something. Told her breathing, stop doing something. And her face was doing nothing. Her eyes were doing nothing. "Okay, coffee," she replied, and they went to Dunkin' Donuts, and they sat, and they had coffee, and they weren't saying nothing. Hands and face doing nothing, arms and legs doing nothing, till it's time for him to go, then their mouths did a little something. And she stood there on 14th Street, doing absolutely nothing. She watched him cross the street and go down into the tunnel, and his back was doing nothing, his legs were doing something. And she stood there on 14th Street doing absolutely nothing, and the buses passed her by, and she did absolutely nothing.